let you in on a secret. I don't run a niche firm. But I'll outline for you the best, most holistic explanation of this topic I've seen in what turned out to be my favorite book of 2021. The Win Without Pitching Manifesto. Did it change my mind? You have to stick around to the end for that one. So this book, written by Blair Enns, was actually written for creative agencies, but the maxims absolutely apply to any professional service. And it's just a lovely read. It's written in the form of 11 proclamations and is exactly as long as it needs to be. No longer. Thank you, Blair. So the very first proclamation in this, and really the prerequisite to everything that comes after that in the book, is we will specialize. Now, no shit, Sherlock, niches make riches. Whoa. Oh. You either got to keep trying to fit into whatever spot that's left for you or make one of your own. Isn't that Dolly Parton? I don't need to stand out. There's room for everyone. I haven't built a niche yet. I'm just writing love songs. That's Adele. Yeah, the philosopher Adele. Okay, so we've all heard the niche discussion 100 times. Goes without saying, there are upsides to working with very specific types of clients, but there's also downsides, especially when it comes to tax and navigating SALT. But this was the most well-rounded discussion of specialization I've come across. And Show Me Our Profession today is actually too hung up on industry specialization, when there are actually a number of different dimensions on which we can specialize.
My name is Stephen Hawking, physicist, cosmologist, and something of a dreamer.
I don't want to be the guy that reads a book on a video, but this passage was too good to blow past. So this is how Blair defines the purpose of positioning. Positioning is an exercise in relativity. Our goal when endeavoring to position ourselves against our competition is to reduce or outright eliminate them. When we drastically reduce the real alternatives to hiring our firm, we shift the power balance away from the client and towards us. This power shift allows us to affect the buying process and increase our ability to protect ourselves from having to part with our thinking for free, from having to respond to wasteful and inefficient tenders or RFPs, and to otherwise devalue our own offering or increase our cost of sale. So positioning is an exercise in relativity. It's as much about you as it is your client's ability to find a substitute provider. And see if this hits home for you. The entire premise of value pricing, getting away from the billable hour, not giving away time for free. All of those things are very obviously better for you. I don't think anybody debates that. But is it better for the client? When they interview 3 accounting firms and you force them through a complex discovery process, if you don't give them any free advice in that first meeting, you don't show off your smarts, while the people across the street say, hey, here's a pile of free advice and we're gonna be the cheapest hourly shop in town, why is a potential client going to choose you?
Well, if you're looking for quality, then look no further.
That's more like it. Tell me, what are the tank's safety features?
What a good-looking question.
This, for me, is what makes some form of specialization a necessity. Without specialization, without being able to make yourself one of one in the eyes of prospective clients, you're in a race to the bottom. You're on equal terms with every other firm and trying to win on one of 3 things: either price, simply doing it for less, scope, doing more for the same, or personality. You just like me better. Remember, when your customers don't understand what you do, they're gonna make buying decisions on the aspects of the process they do understand. So you need some form of specialization. And in our profession, we immediately jump to industry, dentists, creative agencies, manufacturing. And this is one dimension on which you can specialize for sure, but not the only one. And beyond that, you can actually specialize on multiple dimensions.
He never turns around and he never reaches an edge. He doesn't know that his apparently flat universe is actually curved into an enormous sphere.
So here are other dimensions on which you can specialize, for example. Region. If you are doing tax work and your clients are taxidermists across the country, you're gonna spend all your time learning state and local tax. Now, SALT itself could absolutely be a strength of your firm, but local expertise can also be a strength. You may be the most connected person in town, and there's value in that. Packaging and delivery. Maybe you can provide a super modern client experience, or the opposite, an old-timey analog experience, or you only come out to your clients' homes to coordinate work. You can totally build a great firm around that for the people that need it. How about size? Startup businesses versus large, mature businesses. On the personal side, we see this based on assets. You could work with high wealth individuals, or on the other end of the spectrum, whisper the secrets out of the earned income tax credit. Your service offerings. If you're the only firm that offers X and that client needs X, well, you're now one of one. A great example of this is the team at LiveCA recently launched a no-code development agency in their firm. They're solving very real workflow problems for their clients in a way virtually no other firm is doing. So for clients who need that, there's quite literally no competition. So think beyond industry, even better, think on multiple dimensions. Now here are the 3 steps of positioning outlined in this first proclamation. 1, we must choose a focus. 2, then articulate that focus via a consistent claim of expertise. And 3, must work to add the missing skills, capabilities, and processes necessary to support our new claim. Now, if you notice, the last step was to build the capabilities, but this usually happens in the opposite order. You develop an expertise, then you learn to articulate that expertise you've already developed, then last, decide this is our focus. But the problem with that approach is you probably developed that expertise because it was something a client needed, not because you chose this as something that, I don't know, you actually wanted to do. It was going to be a relevant long-term thing. It was simply something you stumbled into because a client needed it. When you flip that discovery process on its head, you get to choose what your focus will be. You're able to weigh whether that's actually a smart long-term business decision, whether it's something you'll enjoy. And only then do you decide how to articulate that expertise and then make sure you've got the chops to back it up. This is refreshing to me because I've often felt that you can kind of be a captive to the opportunities you've had so far in your career. Like you're along for the ride and will only ever develop the expertise in work that stumbles in the door. Enter saying it is up to you to decide what you want to do, then figure out how to build a business around it. And I like the feel of that much better than we got a few of these clients, so we're gonna go do this now. So the main 3 benefits to specialization that they outline. A sales advantage: the fewer your number of competitors, the number of substitutes, or the number of substitutes the buyer has, the more likely it is you're gonna win. A price premium: similarly, this gives you control over how to price what you do because nobody else is doing it. And third, control. And this one is kind of the main, maybe only non-obvious one to me. And it's that the more specialized you are, the more you're able to plug your clients into your framework, into the model of your design, rather than simply being the order taker, like an attorney the client comes to with whatever they need done. Instead, you're the expert. You design the machine, they run through that machine. We talk a lot about workflow and the challenges of building a workflow around the clients that we work with. And many of these challenges stem from the fact that each of these people, each of these companies are very different. There is no global right answer or plug and play solution. But as you specialize, if your sweet spot is taxidermist generating between $1 and $2 million a year, that is a much narrower subset of people than a firm that's taking in anything. The resources for the problems these people experience, they can be very specific. You aren't gonna have a whole bunch of one-offs. And the result is you can build a much tighter workflow around them. Now I can tell you personally, if I'm honest with myself about the reason I haven't specialized, it's not fear of specializing, it's the fear of what I then can't do once I've specialized. And this book encapsulates that really nicely. They call it the paradox of choice. They give the analogy that you're in a room full of doors. And as highly curious people, we want to peek behind each of those doors, right? Satisfy that curiosity. And to walk through one of them and never look back, that's hard, that's scary. What about all those other doors? But at some level, we know it's the right thing to do. We can see the upside of reducing what it is we're willing to do for the reasons we've already discussed. Developing deeper expertise, pricing power, avoiding commoditization, all that. The good news here is what actually happens when you walk through that door. Check this out. Quote, "Is it possible, however, that on the other side of the door we face there is not only one long gray hallway, not one empty boring room, but more doors, more choices? Is it possible that what lies on the other side of the door is not the death of our creativity, sure to be snuffed by routine and boredom, but just enough focus to harness the full potential of our talents?" Woof. So I shared at the beginning that I don't run a niche firm. Has this book changed my stance? Yes and no. I don't subscribe to the notion that it is a binary delineation. You're either a niche firm or a generic firm. Rather, I think that every firm lies on a spectrum, from hyper-specialized to completely generic, like an H&R Block. Now, part of the complexity of this is there are a ton of reasons to run a firm. Not all of them profit motivated, but altruism aside, if your goal is to do more with less, to become more profitable, to take greater control of your own schedule, availability, and oftentimes well-being, then I think it's your duty to have a plan for how to move up at least part of your firm along that axis of specialization. It is not an all or nothing proposition. Rather, think of it as, here's where I am today. This is the least specialized I will ever be. And my job is to walk some of our business along that spectrum. In my case, that looks like 2 things. A highly modernized vertical in our practice around automated micro reporting. It's a service no one else is offering, and for the types of businesses that need it, it makes us indispensable. Second, a specific industry vertical we can hold ourselves out as experts in to develop greater pricing control. So, So many doors open from this book, fresh ideas, adding kind of some really smart thoughts to what I think is kind of a stale conversation at this point. Now, I actually went through this book with a bunch of other accounting firm owners in a book club we run in my accountant community. I'll put a link to that below. We're gonna kick off season 2 of book club in the new year. What is your take on specialization? Love to get it in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.